Hey everyone, welcome to FMA Talk Live. I was just rocking out to the theme music there, and this is my best bro in the world, my partner in crime, PG Tye Botting.
Hey,
I was like, wait a minute, don't put me in that boat. We're not friends. He just shag-eyed me into the show. So, late night for both of us at our professions. Mine teaching, him something else. And we barely got food in our gullet. Hey, how was your weekend?
Pretty good. Actually, non-martial related. Since last weekend, right, I did the event. Sonia had her playoffs for her soccer team, so that was fun. My daughter.
Okay, great. How'd she do?
She did great. The team could use some more work, but yeah.
Well, hold on one second here. Let me just do this. All right, I had to ask for help. My other co-host wanted to eat my food, so I just said, "Here, take it." Well, Hungarian goulash, gotta love that stuff. So, well, listen, if she had a good time, that's all that matters, right?
Absolutely, yeah. She did 4 games this weekend. That's why it was kind of a big deal.
Oh, wait a minute. I've got the wrong microphone. Tell me how this sounds. If you guys know the difference right now.
There we go. Much louder and clear.
Yeah. Okay. So for some reason, my default is my Brio as opposed to my Rode, because I got the different microphone. So, yo. Let me see. Renee, how are you doing, my friend? And our guest host actually told him where to look for the show. He told him where to go. We always got to tell. And we got to do a follow-up. Renee was just teaching over in Europe.
Oh, yeah?
Yeah. For some reason, he likes me. I haven't figured that one out right. So, hey, good evening, my brothers, Datu and PG. Hey, Terrell, we're going to see you this weekend in Delaware because I'll be teaching. Oh, are you going to Delaware? Good, because there we go. We're gonna have myself and 2 of the PGs, and I got to remember to bring the phone case for you.
Oh yeah, thank you.
And I've got a magnetic charger for it too. So
good deal.
Yeah, we'll talk. Yeah. So, oh my God, wait a minute, hold on. And yes, he's going to be there. Great. And look, Jackie, right. Haven't seen you in a while. How's Kansas City doing? Not too good after the Bills played them. Of course, Bills didn't do too good yesterday, but that's another story. Vikings are still number 1. So, all right, she'll take a shot at me later. Okay, so I really don't want to get in. Danny Terrell, Coach Danny.
Hey, sir.
All right, definitely one of our featured guests for the second season. So we've got, including tonight, only 3 episodes left, and it's cold here, but great. Good. So we got tonight, which we're going to talk about FMA's top 50. We'll talk about that in a minute. Then next week we got Miguel Ruby from My FMA Supplies for a 2-parter. Tonight's going to be a 1-parter because of the guests, because we're going to talk about martial arts supplies and then urban legends in Filipino martial arts. And then we're gonna have Guru Francis from Big Boy Screamer. He's going to be on. We're going to be talking about the differences of teaching in a school like mine, teaching in a park like you do, Ty, teaching out of your garage, the pros, the cons of each of them, the challenges and the advantages, stuff like that. So, and that'll be the last show of the season. Then we'll start up sometime in January, and we'll go from there. And then we'll have a whole new look. We'll have a new intro. We'll have different music. Although I really like that music, so I might see about keeping that music a little bit. But Renee was in Spain. He'll be in Finland, Scotland, Australia, not Austria, but Australia. Okay. Actually, I got people in Finland reach out to me, and I will put some people together with you. And I'm going to Scotland. If you could help me with a hookup while I'm over there. It's because, the thing is, we all share contacts and help each other out. Okay. But definitely if you're going to be near Pori, Finland, I've got a group there, or there's a group. I don't have a group there. I'm in contact with a group there that we can, hopefully they'll be interested in what you do. They do Kombatan, they do KI, they do a whole bunch of different things. So, and then Rich said, hello. Jackie said, wait, I'll wait till January. Yeah. We'll see about that. All right. And then, sweet. No problem. Okay. So here's the deal. First of all, we're going to invite a good friend of ours on the show. He's actually backstage right now. That's his, and AKA he's in home waiting in front of his telephone for us or computer. And hello, Steve. So we're doing well. We're doing well. So Dean Franco, for those who aren't familiar, which I think everyone here knows, he does a wonderful thing. Created FMA Discussion. So he has done over 300 interviews, and they've been talking off and on about putting a top 50 Filipino martial artists. He and I were talking. We got some projects. We got some cool projects coming up in the future. We're going to be and we'll release later, but it kind of dovetails in with this topic. There was the show, which I think was done very well. There was the survey, the poll, which we'll talk about the train wreck not a train wreck, but the inaccuracy because of what was going on. And it has nothing to do with Dean. It has all to do with the software of Facebook. And we can talk more about that. But listen, if you ever watch AGT, America's Got Talent, if you want your people to win, what do you got to do? You got to get involved and vote. So that is part of what we're talking about. We just had an election, which I'm not go political, but if you're upset that the people that you liked lost, or you don't like who's in office and you didn't participate in the process and you didn't vote, then you got nothing to complain about. You got no skin in the game. So we're going to talk about this and how that applies to the survey portion of things. So listen, let me do this because I don't want to put a Cyclops dot in the middle of his forehead because I don't think he'd like that either. Okay, and here's our good friend, Dean Franco. Sir, how you doing?
Hey guys, how are you?
I'm doing wonderful. You?
Yeah, thank you. And as always, thank you for having me on. Humbled and honored.
Don't worry, the check's in the mail. No.
Yeah. I hope you don't mind. I had to post date it. No.
Hey, how you doing?
Yeah, just getting a little burnt out, to be honest.
End of the year, you want to take a little break from the stuff?
I think I'm definitely going to the project you mentioned. I really want to dedicate time and energy to that.
Yeah.
In the new year. So I am going to back off on my volume.
Yeah.
So I can be available to that because that's really important to me. I really want to kick off what we talked about.
And what we also got to do is get you on StreamYard so you can see these comments, and everyone down below, everyone out there in the Weberverse can see all the comments too.
and you don't get a kickback.
And I don't get a kickback at all, unless you sign up through my link. Then, no. So we want to talk about this. Is not a hatchet job. Dean's a friend of ours. We're going to be doing some seminars together. Matter of fact, in April, we're going to be doing the FMA Invasion 2 at the Martial Arts Symposium up there. So by all means, and we've added a new player to it. Ways for it. Sue, Jason, and I have an eye in the Screama.
Nice.
So we're going to have a blast. We were supposed to do another one. We rescheduled one in Connecticut. We're trying to come up with dates that don't interfere, especially we don't want it to interfere with the symposium because New Hampshire and Connecticut are really not that far away from each other. Right. So, but with no further ado, Dean, so tell everybody about this top 50 thing of yours, and then because I don't want to say much about it for those who may not have heard about it.
Okay. Yeah, so basically it's something I've been throwing around for the last 6 months, and I was tentative up until 2 weeks ago for obvious reasons, the politics, people that, maybe their feelings getting hurt or they were left out, or other people being disgruntled that their teacher should have been in, all the above, really. So for 6 months, I kind of just teetered back and forth whether to do it. And then finally, I'm not sure what came over me. I just was like, you know what? I'm going to do this. And if people are going to be upset with me, they're going to be upset with me. But people should know by now, though, I really go objectively and I try to be as fair as humanly possible. And if they haven't seen that in me yet, well, then, whatever. And because I think we should be able to have a conversation among each other, who we feel the most inspirational or top 50 based on various criteria. There's going to be an aspect of subjectivity,
which I have the list here,
and there's going to be as well as objective. And the thing about, I was really objective, and I'm going to explain why. If you look at my show and the guests I put on, I'm completely objective. It's not like I had mostly KI people on there. I have all walks of FMA come on there. So yeah, so there's kind of the criteria I kind of came up with, for a guide, so to speak.
Okay, so we have ability, creator, leader, promoting, teaching, creating lineage, inspirer, reputation, historical source, legendary, innovator, and role model. Let me see. So that's down from the top to the bottom. There's Tim Hartman. Man, you're just talking about me. What the hell? You could have just did a show on me and just say the number one, dude.
There we go. We just could have called it at that. I mean, we could have.
Tim, yeah.
Yeah. So that was the list I kind of came up with. I bounced off a few people. And the feedback I got was, hey, I think you got everything inclusive in there. And the reason why I really wanted to draw that out was so people who took the time to look at it and see it really can understand. I made a lot of aspects to this before I just randomly chose top 50 subjectively. The mistake I made, and I hold myself accountable to this, I should have just did a top 100, because when I was going through the list, I was going to postpone the show. But then I had Paul already set up. I didn't want to do that. People were kind of getting excited about the show. And so I'm going to make the announcement tomorrow, which is going to be the next 50. And I'm basically just going to tell the community that it's on me. It was my blunder. I should have just mentioned top 50, broken up into 2 shows, because ultimately that's what I'm going to be doing. I think people will understand. I think people appreciate it just by the mere fact that there's going to be 50 other people who are worthy, of course, being in there.
So okay, no, that's cool. And here's the problem. When you and this is the challenge I saw right off the bat. When you say 50, what are the metrics? And it's kind of hard because there's no one thing for anyone.
It was very hard.
Different criteria, and I know some people might say, well, why nothing from this country? Why not from that many from that country? Bunch of people you mentioned happen to be from the States. Well, the States have the largest population, or one of the largest populations. So, it's like when we talk about martial arts in Canada, even though we're right next to Canada, they don't have the same quantity of top tier people that we do because they have a smaller population. Now, the percentage may be the same, and a lot of times I think you have the same percentages in a lot of places and things, but at the end of the day, when you have a smaller country or smaller region, it's hard to have that same metric or the same impact there. And I can see how people would get, well, what about me? Why didn't I hear this? What about, it's just a pain because, and they're done that.
Yeah. But I tell you though, overall, the feedback from it, again, obviously I'm not, God knows what's been mentioned behind me, but the overall feedback that I was exposed to, that was shared with me via personal messages, what have you, was very positive. There are a couple of people say, I think I would have there, but nothing really negative. It was overall very positive. So that tells me is that people were kind of ready for this. People were ready to maybe explore the idea of bringing this up, having some dialogue about it, and not getting bent out of shape. But of course, I'm sure there's a few out there that, are going to be, particularly tomorrow when I conclude the second 50.
Yeah, I'm like when, especially when Ron Balicki was rated below his wife, but that's another story.
To me, you guys should know by now, I make a strong effort to get female practitioner teachers on here. So naturally,
I hear you. Okay, so that was the joke on the show because Paulo kept pushing the needle on this. Now here's what I'm going to say about that. I'm going to weigh in on that. Okay. If you put her on because she's a female, versus she fits the bill, there's another story. You know, now if you feel that she had that much more impact, then she should be on the list.
Well, I mean, her movie presence, her bringing FMA to the movies. I mean, there was that. Obviously, she obviously is. There's nobody telling me she's not talented. I mean, come on.
No. And Jeremy says hello, and so does Eric. No, here's the thing. You know, because Paula does a lot of choreography that people don't. They see the choreography, but they don't know what she's doing with it. I mean, same with Ron. Ron has actually probably had a lot of impact out there. You don't realize how much impact he is because he's out. The two of them were supposed to come to Buffalo. There's a lot of things that got in the way, and one of the biggest things that got in the way is their movie commitments. And a lot of times they're coaching or training or doing choreography. And I was talking to Ron not recently, just before COVID, we were at the Blade show. We were shooting the bull. He goes, you know, and I introduced to my guy Ryan Monolopoulos, who's tearing it up right now. He goes, Tim, make sure he does blade work because a lot of people are not doing blade work in cinema. As far as there's not a diverse group of people who are skilled at it. And you'll see in a lot of movies. So a lot of times he goes, I was just, it was The Last Battleship, that series that was on. He goes, I was in it again. I wasn't supposed to be on it. I'm talking to the guy. I'm training the guy. Like, who's your partner? Because I need to train him because this is intricate stuff we're doing. Next thing you know, Ron was on the show. You know? So he's that guy that's in every show getting whooped up on, but he's the mastermind doing all the choreography. Yeah. And if Paul is doing the same thing, by all means, she should be part of something.
And the thing is, Ron Balicki is in my second 50. So.
Right.
I'm
just that got brought up, but I want to for why you should have her in there. One of the things I'm going to say is that she's doing choreography. I mean, so you might not see. We might not see her doing the stuff in front of the camera because really I don't. Very little do I see her in front of the camera, but I know she's doing a lot of stuff behind. Like Ryan Monolopoulos, my guy. Yeah. He's a martial artist, a Filipino martial artist who's heavily involved in the film community. That's his profession. So martial arts is not his profession. He does that on the side. He doesn't even attempt to do stuff like that. But he's doing choreography. He's doing stuff along those lines. So he's a Filipino martial artist in the thick of things that could have a huge impact that help our community, that we see the benefits, but we don't see his face attached to it. And he just recently got whooped up by Daredevil on She-Hulk too. But that's
saw that. Yeah. So I was going to say one thing, Dean. I don't know if people brought this up, and I didn't. I need to catch up on the show because it's weekend, but I think it's a huge win just having the conversation because there are 50 or 100, depending on how you count, people that you want to talk about as being top tier in our field, our shared interest of FMA. That is huge. We are not just the redheaded stepchild people can forget about.
Exactly. Yeah. There were 50 names to talk about.
Yep.
Yeah. And the thing is, right. And again, just to reiterate, there was those 5 or 6 months where I was teetering back and forth and then finally, I just said, if the community can't handle this, well, then shame on the community.
Listen, everyone can armchair quarterback this, and we're going to do that here too. Because you know how I am about lists and ideas and all this other stuff. So I actually have a little criteria that I would have used, and I want to discuss some of the things. But we're not going to get it right now. I talked about a little. So yes. Okay, well, first of all, and Dean, thanks for participating in Beat the Crap Out of Cancer.
Excellent.
Oh, Renee, thank you for bringing. I tell you, I had such a wonderful time. I'm glad I canceled my class to go to it because I needed me time, to be quite honest. Yeah. And I had just the people there, met some new people. It just was such a wonderful.
Where was that?
That was actually it's so neat. It's not that far from me. It was like. Gosh, it's like an hour. So Nick Merchant, he's one of my students in Piper. He, in conjunction with a few others, formed it. But right in the White Plains area, it's like an hour and a half.
Oh, nice. Yeah, that's what I envy about you guys on the coast of the East Coast. You're like a stone's throw from everything. I mean, for me, New York City, that's a 7-8 hour drive.
But you know what the nice thing is, and not to digress and go to a whole nother subject, but I want to formulate one in Connecticut just because I think the cause is just so wonderful and important, and I think it brings people together. And one of the things in Connecticut is it's just tough to get FMA guys together. There's just, I'm just gonna say it. It's just, I don't know, it's kind of that.
Are they physically far apart from each other?
Who's that?
The guys in Connecticut.
No, not really. No, the distance is not the issue. But what I'm going to do is, I'm basically going to do it. And if people come from Massachusetts, deal with them there. I don't care. If you don't want, if you're in Connecticut, you
Listen,
don't want to come.
I will challenge all the Modern East guys to go support your event. All the Connecticut Modern East guys, because you know what, you want to support a good. I mean, listen, if you're going to do something like this, I'm assuming it's going to be for a cause, right?
Well, no, I'm doing beat the crap out of cancer.
I'll beat the crap out of cancer. So you know what? Then at the end of the day, I challenge all you Modern East guys in Connecticut to go support this event, put a couple bucks in the thing and contribute. So Renee, going strong since 2009.
Yeah. Matter of fact, I'm doing a show. Again, me putting too many things on the stove, but I'm going to bring a few of those folks on that I met there and all that. One of them's Foxhound, and all that, because I think it's something that should, be like really brought to light and exposed. I think it's just such great things. And just what Renee just said, no politics.
Okay.
No
politics, just people getting together. And wait for it. Here we go.
Yeah.
Dean, I'll add you to the group leaders page.
Oh, wow. Thank you. Very kind.
Dan Medina, hey, good to hear from you. We're definitely going to be doing a show in the new year. We just need to regroup. Want to have you on board but I know what Dan Medina is a great martial artist. Helped me figure some stuff out for actually some modern Ernie stuff out, a cool ass disarm, or how to do a disarm from a better reference point.
And little hint, GM Dan, watch tomorrow night's show.
And then here we go. Dan Terrell, he didn't rate them numerically. He did them alphabetical order, so it wasn't about listed higher.
Yeah,
there we go. This is excellent. So that's good.
No, and that's the thing. Yeah, I mean, right. And the one tomorrow night, much to Coach Danny's point, is going to be the same thing. But again, just to reiterate for folks that might be jumping in, I should have just mentioned right from the get-go, top 100. I'm definitely going to explain that tomorrow's show, just to give some transparency and explanation there. But ultimately, it'll just be two shows that cover just 50 each. But there could be some names that perhaps should have been in the first 50. Again, while I do hold myself accountable for I should have took that path, I don't see anybody else doing this. And secondly, I'm prone to error. So, I mean, I'm like,
you don't know what you don't know. And we make comments. We talk about this all the time when we're making comments here. We go based on the information that we have. And sometimes you got to start over from the ground up. Sometimes you get information that you had wrong. I mean,
I'm talking to Paulo. Paulo had a couple names. Yes, Renee, you can absolutely be 101.
101. Oh, sorry, we stopped at 100.
Absolutely. But I just again, but I'm so glad. Again, I already mentioned how I was hesitant, but I'm so glad I just went ahead and did this because much to what PG Tye was saying, this should be positive for us. This should be looked at as positive that we are honoring these greats, ones who passed away, ones who are still around with us. I mean, who have influenced us, our community. I mean, this should be like a good thing. This shouldn't be like, and a couple people said, Dean, you belong in there. And I'm like, no, I don't. And I'm happy that I'm not in there. I am very
well. Okay, so first of all, of course, Rich, can I be on the injured reserved?
We do have an IR list too.
Okay, so listen, I put my list together on some things. So just quick notes. I didn't do a full list. I just did a couple, but I did it differently. So first of all, so it's hard because we don't have a metric that works for everything and everyone. Like one of the things I would have looked at doing possibly, and this could be a future project, is that I would list all the respective arts out there and try to come up with the top names in those respective arts.
Which I did. Yeah.
Okay. So let's say, hey, listen, let's do Pikiti Tertia. Boom, 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 boom.
Yep.
Now but then I would subdivide. So I would go
You have to
into
with that. Unfortunately, with that system.
well, not even Pikiti, but like, okay, so like let's say we go FMA. Okay, let's talk about internet social. So that's a perfect one. Dean, you make the list. There's no question you make the list. So will you be careful? I got the other guy. So first name you could throw out there is Ray Terry. Was it Ray Terry? Was he the creator of FMA Digest or no Screama Digest?
I mentioned Steve Dowd.
Not Steve Dowd.
Yeah,
Ray Terry.
I'm not familiar with the one.
Will you be quiet? A Screama Digest was a male
I heard it was a male.
thing. So that was like the first. Then whoever created Rec Dot Martial Arts. Then I would have said Ray Terry. I was right. There we go. Ray Terry. Because Rich and I were talking about this the other day. So Ray Terry started something. And then from there, so I'm going to give you the 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 top names for promoting Filipino martial arts. You come over here. But this is all time on social media. Okay, hold on here. I gotta take care of something real quick. You do this while I shut somebody up.
Your other friend there, yeah.
All right, Ty.
No, that's good.
You now have the green light to grill me.
There you go. All right. So what do you think you're doing? No, I'm teasing.
What the hell were you thinking?
No. So we were discussing about how difficult it was, and certainly it is. Yeah. One of the things as you're thinking through this, I don't know if actually you may have talked about this or already not, but I would imagine that it's difficult in two ways, right? One, getting all the right people there, and you only know what you know, right? So you're going to have some built-in exposure biases, right? But was there any almost assumed names that you decided, no, maybe that's going to be on the next tier? And how did you go about dealing with that? Because what was the calculus there?
So what I did was when I started. So here's kind of what happened, chronologically speaking. Okay, so the day of going on Tuesday, I'm getting my list together. No exaggeration, it was kind of like sleepless night because I'm just, God, I forget him, but the whole 9 yards. So that day I'm making up the list, and at that point I'm like kind of in this on the fence, like, should I just make it 100 now, or should I do the first 50, see how that goes over? If it goes over well, I'll introduce a second 50. So I had the second 50 list it was at that time around 30. Got some ideas from Paulo, some other feedback. Now I was at 50. So what I did was I kind of just went with, I used basically, this is kind of what I used to get the list going. I referenced people I interviewed and how they really resonated, what they did in the community. That was there. Some feedback from others. I referenced Bram Frank's book. Those were the three, but the interviews was really the governing thing. Like hearing from these people and people that I've been exposed to, of course, physically, whether, like, for instance, I added Chris Sayok because one, in the early 2000s, I was part of that system and all that. And what he did was he brought back the whole thing of edge weapons and this system of just knife, and he made it worldwide. Say what you want and all yada yada, but there's things he did, and he did very well. He was a marketing genius as well as spreading his art. So for just using him as an example, somebody that I was kind of under. I was, one of his instructors early back. Then again, which I mentioned, the interviews. I looked, people that I've spoken to and that heard about their system really got an idea for what they've done for the community and how they promoted their system or their ability, their reputation, their role modeling. All those I put in there. It's just somebody that, man, I would be proud to be under, and what he's doing for the community. As you can see, pretty much in there's probably, has a really good reputation for the most part. That was pretty much what I used there. But I did get on that fence again midday Tuesday, and that's kind of where I was teetering. All right, and then I finally concluded I'm going to do the first 50. If it goes over well, I'm going to be more than happy to introduce the second 50. So,
what on your list of requirements, one of the things, it looked like a couple in there covered one of the things that I often like to consider is reach. How did you, I know you factor that in, but which of your listed things kind of factor that in?
as far as reach, meaning
the extent of their reach, and it could be temporal, or it could be physical, or it could be number of people, right? That kind of stuff.
As far as like the influence, maybe the impact they have.
Yeah, so I guess influence would be part of it, but it could, you could go numbers, you could go distance, you could go time, right? The reach over time, or more be integrate over all those, right?
Yeah. So that was something I looked at. Like, did this person? So in other words, let's use KI for example. Obviously, Illustrissimo didn't spread the system. His name and what his ability did, but really, Yuli Romo and Tony Diego, Christopher Ricketts, and if you notice, really what made spread the system by them relocating. Ray Galan went to Australia. Christopher Ricketts went to California. Yuli spread around in the country, and of course, Tony Diego and getting from Europe. So, for example, that's why all those guys made in the first round, because they really spread the art of KI.
Well, and I like that you put creating lineage, right? Because not only spreading, it's that lasting spread that keeps on going, right? The inertia almost.
And I hate to admit this. What gave me that influence, I hate to admit this because we don't want to make his head any bigger, but that was Datu Tim, because the importance of, is anybody going to carry these arts on? As a matter of fact, and during the interview, I made a very valid point, strong point. You got, and you guys heard me mention this before, about LeMaco, so.
How can you be a grandmaster if you haven't produced students? No, but listen, you can't get my head any bigger than it already is. It's just not going to work. So, but I mean, listen, then let's talk about the lineage, because this is something that people may not understand. I go, you have people who have had secondary or tertiary impact. So you can sit there and say, all right, let's use Bulentwak, one of the arts that I practice, as an example. So who's the most influential Bulentwak practitioner out there?
Right now, it's Bobby Tabata.
Now, it wouldn't have started without Adam, but he is not the person that spread the art.
Right.
Okay, he's had a small group, and his students made it bigger. But really, if we want to go back and forth in this, let's start with the Saavedra brothers, because he was a student of the Saavedras. Now, here are a bunch of unsung heroes, because from there, they created the Doce Pares, and then Bulentwak split off of that. And it wasn't the Saavedra brothers that spread the art. It was the Cañetes who spread the art.
Correct.
So now, I don't think Doce Pares is as big in the States as other parts of the world, but the other impact that they had is in the sport.
Weak half.
Weak half. And you can make this into, okay, look at MMA. Who started MMA as we know it today? And you can say the Gracies. Now, you can't say the father. The father taught them, okay? But there was the Gracies as a family. I mean, we had Hoist in the States, but Hickson was, I think, in Japan or whatever. And, you can talk about who was the top or whatever. Now, these guys did it as a fighter. Now, there may have been other brothers that were much better teachers. I don't know. Now, and I look at that with the same thing with, like with what we're doing, I look at Doce Pares, I look at Bulentwak, I look at Modernis, and I go, well, so I would have split things up a little different. Like, there's my pioneer list, and then there's my next gen list, because I think the problem. So when I saw, here's the problem that there was. It was, who put the survey up and whose idea was that?
Okay, here's what happened with that. And Eric Greenberg had nothing but good intentions. He just didn't realize that.
As we all do.
Yeah. So what happened was with that is, I made mention of what I'm going to do. People, of course, started putting names down. I don't even think I asked for them, but people start putting names down. And So Eric Greenberg suggested, "Hey, do you mind if I make a poll?" And I'm like, "You know what? Sure. Sure, please do. Thank you." And so he did. And of course, and matter of fact, what's sad is, or I don't know if sad's the correct word, but the first 4 hours, the poll was actually going the way it should have gone. I mean, Illustrissimo and Asano were leading the pack. Okay. And a few other notables. Then some 6 hours in or something, you're seeing their numbers come down, and somebody brought to my attention that a few of these folks' numbers going up. And Eric Greenberg messaged me, and I said, "Unfortunately, your intentions were good, but this is just sometimes how things go. The kind of the short of the long is basically what I mentioned to him. So tension's good, however." Like you mentioned, people are going to come in and going to vote. And how do I know this? At the time when that dynamic was changing, there was an influx of people coming into the group, signing up for the group.
Aha.
Why do I know that? Because I'm the one that approves them.
Right.
So, yeah. So, now, do I have absolute proof? Of course not. Am I going to waste time trying to prove it? Of course not.
Well, and here's the thing. This is just an election.
Mm-hmm.
No one can complain if no one voted. Well, I actually was going to tell you to take my name off the list. And I was like, yeah, but then again, I didn't. I was like, I don't want to be part of this. I mean, no, I don't want to be part of that. I don't want to be part of. It's like, listen, my work speaks for itself. Actually, the only thing I want to give you my gripe. Here's the Datu. Here's my my tirade for the day. So, I thank you so much for mentioning me in there. I'm at the 27-minute marker.
See how he preempted this, PG Ty? I want to thank you so
right. But I get this. This happens to me all the time when I say this, and so when my name got brought up, Tim's a great promoter. Tim does good for helping people. Tim helps a lot of people. And I'm that guy that's anything but what people want me to be. And it's like, and I'm not, and there's no intent. I understand that one of the things, I've got several attributes that others in our industry don't have. And a lot of times people like yourself will point that out to people, say, hey, not only is Tim a martial artist, he can do these other things. And unfortunately, sometimes people focus on the other things as what I do to give opportunities. But I was kind of bummed out, not so much for you, although you've seen me on the floor. There was no mention from either one of you as me as a martial artist in that thing. And Paulo did a review. He audited my Panantukan seminar and went and gave one of the best reviews online that I've heard, period. And I'm like, geez, I didn't even pay him for this. And he's acknowledged me. So I was a little bummed out when it was all about what the opportunities. I was like, it would have been nice to say, and he's a good martial artist. And hello, Carl. And yes, now you're going to take 103 is what I'm going to give it to you.
To be honest, I'm going to speak for Paulo here as well. We kind of just assume that we want to highlight really how you give others opportunity and all that.
I know. Yeah. No, I say I'm glad I was part of I'm glad that you chose that I would be part of it, because obviously I'd have an impact. Unfortunately, the downside, there's a lot of people that and a lot of times I talk to people like, listen, we know amongst ourselves that when I say something, what I mean, but I always ask the guys, when I say this, do others understand the same thing?
Yeah.
So that was the only thing I was a little bummed out. I was like, okay, it would have been nice to say.
My sincere apologies.
No.
Yeah, but no, but I mean, hey, I
that was the only thing I had. And I mean, that like I said, like personally, if we would have went through some things, like I would come up. Well, my question would be a lot in this case. So, and this'll, if for those who felt that people were left out, I'm going to say something different. And for some of the names that were included, my question to me, if I'm putting a list together, which I didn't, but I want to talk about relevance. It's nice to name all these people, but how relevant are they? So, like, if we're talking about, I don't know, like so people always bring up certain names. Okay. So my question is, did the person have relevance, as in, did they themselves do a lot, or did they spawn people to do a lot? Either one is fine. So like Anshan Bakan never had a big group, but look how big it grew. And Bobby Tabwata is the one that's carrying that banner at the moment.
Sure.
Promoting it. So Anshan is very relevant, whether it be by his actions or his students or his students. In this case, Bobby Tabwata was a student of Pila Velez. So who's a student of Jose Villason, who's a student of Anshan Bakan. So, so wonderful things. And then you have Nick Elazar, who does well, but no one has that presence that Bobby Tabwata has. And Bobby did that.
Yeah.
Not Anshan, not Villason, not Velez. It was all Bobby Tabwata. He wouldn't have been able to do it. I'll sit there on the. We look at, say, if we're talking about. I don't know. Actually, I don't want to go down another thing because the one that comes to mind, people complain about. So I'm not going to go down that path. So, but right now, I would look at okay, here's one. When we talk about spreading Filipino martial arts, spreading it. Okay, I look at a couple different things. I look at Remy Preces, who spread Filipino martial arts, and then I look at Danny Asano, who inspired people to go seek Filipino martial arts.
Oh, there are,
because they're two different things. So like Inasano taught her his people. He really didn't teach outside the JKD community. But his seminars as a whole are for Jeet Kune Do people.
My understanding is most of the schools that he was brought to some affiliation with JKD and
So, but now he is probably. I don't look at him as much of an impactful a person of major impact to Filipino martial arts as some of the others, but I will say he's probably one of the most influential, if not the most influential martial artist of all time for giving martial arts exposure that may never have. If it wasn't for Anshan, or if it wasn't for Inasano, would Muay Thai kickboxing have the presence that it does?
Would Savat even be known?
Would Savat be known outside of France? Silat. How much? Now the thing here is, I'm not poo-pooing Inasano. He teaches this blend. He doesn't teach any art by itself. When I've seen him, it's always this blend of everything. And I'm a little OCD. I want to know when I'm learning. If I'm learning Balintawak, I want to know Balintawak. If it's more in Kombatan, it's Kombatan. If it's Silat, it's Silat. I don't. My personal expression, I put everything in the pot I can. But that's a personal expression. But when it comes to the learning portion of things, I want to know what I'm doing. So then, if I choose to do greater research in the future, more in depth, because what a lot of Inasano's people did is get into these arts even more. Look at Cass Magda. He's doing all the Silat. He's doing more Silat than
Burton. Burton.
Burton
became Paul DeThor's right-hand man.
And that's because Inasano gave people the opportunity. So he has such a huge impact, but he himself wasn't the one spreading these arts. He opened the door. Now, where I look like when it comes to promoting Filipino martial arts as a system, it's hard to match the Preces brothers.
For an individual system,
right? As an individual, yes. When we're talking, because you look at the Preces family and how they spread Filipino martial arts, they are to FMA what the Gracies are to BJJ. When you look at the impact that they have, and they opened up the door, they also did open up the door for other people, because some people sit there and say,
and I would say Guy Hayes probably second.
Right.
Look at it, PTK World.
PTK is big, but it ebbs and flows. Actually, I was thinking Chris was kind of, while he was alive. Chris blew up, then he shrunk. He went in. They did more elite type stuff. Same with the Atienzas. Yeah. If you look at Sayak and Atienza, they got big at the beginning where they were marketing to everybody, and then all of a sudden they went They all went like they all went internal. Like and where they kind of said, no, we have enough. We're going to take it off the grid.
Yeah, Octane just became known. Because of the Seahawks.
Yeah, yeah. So but when you look at all those like those two are examples where initially Chris was blowing up and reaching out everywhere.
Look at the 2000s,
and then they got selective and they downsized what they were doing.
The 2000s decade, they were killing it. Seahawks particularly.
Yeah. So and it was actually really good timing on them because Remy had just passed away and they were making their own name for themselves. They didn't capitalize on missing of Remy. They were already doing things. But when Remy passed, you didn't have that guy that had that global presence anymore. But I look at I'm trying to think,
Well, Joseph Paris was really big for a while, especially in competition, the sparring side, right?
Recaf, yeah, right?
Yep, recaf,
so
right.
The sport aspect of it, yes.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
So
that's exposure. That's exposure. And
so you look at I look at the Kenyatta. So I would say like probably. So I don't necessarily think Leo was big. I think the offshoots caused that explosion.
Yeah, but here's the thing, though. Why did the late 70s group develop? Because Guy Hay went to Queens, McGrath. All these guys started him, so he deserves. You gotta give him.
Oh no, I'm not saying, but what I'm saying is, I think a lot like Anshan Bakan, where, well, really it's Tortal, and then he inherited it. So listen, even with the offshoots, everyone I've talked to in Bikini, they say the same thing. Bikini Tertia wouldn't be today what it is today without Leo Gahe. There's no question about what he did. He organized, he got that out there. But I think the offshoots did just as much, if not more.
Bill. You look at Bill McGrath and what he did with PTI and the spreading of that. What Jared's doing now.
Exactly.
They're taking it to it, especially Jared. Jared's probably the fastest growing organization right now.
I think. See, Leo has come and gone in the States. Like there was a huge portion of time that he was MIA.
Yeah.
And it's the students or the ex-students that went off. They were the ones that were really promoting the name here. Come on. We're talking about Filipino martial arts. It's usually the non-Filipinos that are promoting it bigger than anybody else. You say what you want about Remy promoting it. It still took the students to practice it.
Yeah.
But I think, like you said, there's. So I look at impact of that nature. So I wonder, like I said, I love my Balance walk. I don't think Anshan started a movement. And he's that, but he wasn't the guy. Like Bobby's spreading out. My teacher Ted Buat, this is the guy that was tapped to be the successor, and he just came to the States and he just taught privately, and that's it.
Yeah.
Leo brought it, but today PTK is much larger than exactly. That's my point. So So my point is that the art grew bigger than the man.
Yeah, but fair enough.
And he's not the founder either. See, and there's the other thing too is but I definitely think, hey Bill, I'm saying, hey, greetings, how you doing? So I would look at relevancy like that, or let's say like when we talk about certain arts. Okay, we hear the names, but how big were the arts? If there are only 20, 30 people, if there's 100 people, so when people weren't listed on there, first of all, I don't think you should have been doing a thing to say, let's include everyone so no one feels left out.
Right.
No, and I obviously with 100, there's no way I'm going to achieve that. I'm picking 100.
Well, also, as far as the relevance thing,
leave people out.
As far as the relevance thing, the thing I was thinking about on relevance is a lot of times people get stuck to what have you done for me lately, and then your relevance gets shifted to a temporal bias, right? So maybe when you're talking about relevance, at least it's always good to factor in the context of the situation at the time, right? During maybe their best, or maybe the part that you want to consider them for. Because I think it's really, really easy to lose out on some really, really standouts just because, lately they haven't done anything because maybe they're past or maybe it was. And it's funny because it's a natural thing.
we wouldn't be doing what we are today if it wasn't for our predecessors.
Right.
And a lot of times we may have evolved past them.
Right.
Oh, I think that's fair as well. Yeah, I mean, another thing too, like while I did list that criteria, but another thing that I guess you could put it under the umbrella of promotional, all that, but I really like people who get events together, like who take the time to bring in other instructors and form stuff. To me, that really, because what that does for me, or what that says to me, it speaks volumes, that you are making inclusive of other styles because you want FMA folks to work together despite lineage, factions, styles. And so there's a couple of people that are really good in doing that. And that was enough for me, because they're actually trying to spread the art. As somebody that's like, riding the coattails of an old master, but hasn't generated students, but apparently people perceive that he should be on the list and all that. And there was a few of those, to be quite frank.
People always want their guy to be whatever.
Yeah,
I mean,
and I get it. This is, and that, again, the whole thing of subjectivity and objectivity.
Hey, listen, I'm the first to talk about. Listen, I love Remy. I'm very partial, and I'm a martial arts snob. And unfortunately, too many people don't understand what Remy was really about. I mean, and Ty knows what I'm talking about, as my co-host is from the same lineage, and unless you felt him, like, what do you do? I mean, and listen, and the thing here is, I've crossed sticks with a lot of people. No one had the touch that Remy had when it came to FMA, and I just, and we're not talking, he was one of the elite of the FMA world. I've trained with some of the best martial artists in the world, period, and he's in the top 10. And I'm talking karate, I'm talking taekwondo, I'm talking jiu-jitsu, I'm talking Brazilian jiu-jitsu, I'm talking kung fu. I am a consummate martial artist. I go out there all the time and take seminars whenever I can. And Remy, there's certain things that you just can't get, and it's a feel. Like a lot of people I've seen, actually, I'll tell you that my top 2 people that give you a feel my top 3 that give you a feel that you will never, that it's very hard to describe. Obviously, I'm going to say Remy Pracis, Wally J, and wait for it. Here we go. Well, actually 4, Dr. Mung Ji Bondo, and Mal Morney.
Okay.
Mal Morney. I mean, here's 4 of the people that these are my top 4 people that I would pick. Because they've have a touch. They have a touch that changes everything. Yeah. You're so right. Need to touch hands. And so when we talk about a lot of things, a lot of people talk about this, that angle, but we don't have a constant metric. Like, okay, let's talk about fighting for a minute. When we're rating people, like in your list, we talk about fighting here. I put them into 2 types of categories. I talk about armored and unarmored fighting.
I just put it under ability.
Well, but how do you, if we're just saying fighting in general, because some people have phenomenal ability and can't fight to save their lives.
But I thought about the fighting aspect, and then I said,
well, it's we don't have a metric that we can go like if I was going to say fighters confirmed, I got Remy and Kakoi. I know the 2 of them fought. I've heard stories all about it. Now that's people that I knew. The secondhand information of people who fought: Angel Cabales, Anchan Bakan, and Leo Haron. I don't know. I don't know. No. I'm telling you, I don't know, and I haven't heard confirmation of anyone else. I'm not saying.
Where are you getting confirmation on the other folks?
What?
Confirmation? You're saying you got confirmation on the other folks?
Okay, who we got here? I've seen watering down a lot of FMA were brought to the Philippines by American instructors. Quick about along the program. Okay. No, what I'm saying is, like, if we're talking about fighters, so this is the unarmored fighters. Then I talk about armored fighters. I go, these are people that I know have fought, or I've had confirmation that have fought.
Okay.
And the thing here is, and I would hear all these stories from all these other Filipino masters about how bad. I mean, Remy fought for Anchan Bakan, and as good as and every story I heard, Remy's the guy. I asked Remy once, could you take Anchan? No way. And for Remy to say that, that was crazy, because he would never admit to that. But I mean, we know Kakoi's fought. And like I said,
Definitely.
I knew those are two people that I knew who fought. That I know. Let me rephrase that. Those are two people in my sphere, in my of that I've met in person. Remy introduced me to Kukoi, and I've met him several times. Those are the only two Filipinos that I know for a that I've met in person. I know fought no gear, matter of, and stuff like that. Now, Angel Caballas, I've heard the stories, and I've got pretty good confirmation about that. But that's secondhand information. And Chamba Khan fought multiple times. Two people were killed in the stick fights, and he did jail time in both situations. And then Leo Horon, well, he fought for our country, you know. So
right, correct.
Right. So, and I'm assuming Remy's father, because he taught the guerrillas during World War II. But, you know, once again, so I would now if we talk about armored combat, well, then I'm going to go old school and first go with Tom Biggio as the beast from the West there.
He's on the second list.
Nobody tells. I mean, I've heard like
all the same.
Yeah, I've heard crazy stories about him. I know a whole bunch of other people have done armored combat, but I'd also sit there and go, all right, then the Dog Brothers, and I'm going to go with, you could say Mark Denny, which Mark doesn't. He's not top of my list. He became the face of Dog Brothers, but Arlen Sanford and
Arlen and Eric Noss.
Eric Noss, the freaking. So, but these two guys had careers and didn't go down the martial art path. These guys did it for the love of the art. But there's a reason why Eric is called Top Dog.
Yeah.
End of story. But now, and they're completely different animals though, because that's armored combat. Could they have fought no gear? Yeah, but they didn't. But it's funny because what was it? I saw a video. Was it Eric and the guy from Shockwave Martial Arts? He's a Dog Brother. Does a lot of tactical stuff. And he's one of my Facebook friends. I can't remember.
They did no gear, just eye goggles. You're talking about the match, just eye goggles, no gear?
Yeah.
Yes, I know the match you're exactly talking about. Yeah.
And what, they hit each other once or twice during the entire match?
Oh, I know the range
5 minutes.
The range was like,
Because when there's no armor, there's consequence of your actions.
Yeah. Matter of fact, I think it ended. The guy came underneath with a leg shot, and then ended up in the corner. And
and they crashed and they ran out of time. And
exactly.
You know,
I know the fight you're talking about. Yeah.
Who knows? I mean, but they're willing to do it. So you know, okay, here we go. I mean, but if we talk WECAF style, I mean, you know, there's so many good fighters at WECAF for that type of combat. There's also a bunch of people that do Rock'em Sock'em Robots, but that's another story. Let me see. Here we go. Hi there. Guess who? Okay, yeah, we know who you are.
So funny.
Does this guy? Hey, listen, pizza guy. Do you stalk Dean as well? Because I think you should. Oh, actually, no, you can't, because that's why you don't go on StreamYard, because then you could simulcast on YouTube and he can pester you. So good call. Now I know it. Michael Johnson. Michael Johnson, that's the guy. There we go. Yeah. And then Jeff Finder and his students in Serrata, WECAF.
Jeff Finder,
Jeff Finder's good, you know. But I mean, you know, like when we talk through any list, I mean, there's not a metric that applies to everything and everyone.
You have to look at too. I mean, you're taking decades. You're taking people from early 1900s that were, you know, icons and what they did for present day, and then you're taking middle 1900s, and now we're taking present day. So what was applicable then, far as fighting, to modern day, exactly what is the metric?
Yeah, you know I think you'd almost be better off doing like a top 50 of pioneers and a top 50 of present movers and shakers, you know. You know, because it's kind of hard, like people who've done stuff that, I mean, because, you know, or like the top 50 people you want to keep on the books for one thing or another.
Well, kind of like that you can start with the top 50 of those that got us here, and the top 50 that are keeping us going.
They're keeping us here. That's a thought, you know?
Yeah, I mean, because then you got, because then you got the modern, because like, you know, I've done a lot. I know I've done a lot. I've done a really, really lot. I would have preferred to be in the second 50 for that reason.
Because if I separated post and modern day and
because you know what? Okay, listen. I look at myself being in a similar role like Bobby Taboada is, that carrying the torch. He didn't light the torch. He's carrying the torch. And that's Ty and myself and others are doing that for Remy. And I've done a lot of stuff that Remy's done. I've done more things in some areas, and I've got a lot more to do in others. You know, we've got a headquarters, we've got a curriculum, we've got a web presence like there's no tomorrow. Stuff that Remy couldn't do because he was never in one place long enough to do it. We've got, we can go through all these things, but he was such oh my God. He had such ability to inspire people, and each art is going to have that kind of person in there. I look at these things and like, for me, I should have been in the second 50 list, if you were to separate, because really I shouldn't be in the same tier as Remy Praces, Anchon Bacon, Angel Cabalis, I don't feel the Saavedra brothers. I don't think and I brought Crazy Hair Day into play. So but the thing is, I look at myself. Okay, you've got Inosanto. You can decide where you want to put him. I would say he should be in the first 50, but he's also a guy that because let's go back to I put a list together. So I put a list of promoters. And I did internet social media, and that's when my co-host was being loud. So you got Ray Terry, who started us off. He had an email list. You had Steve Dowd, who did FMA Digest, which prior to that was Rec Martial Arts, which was another list. But then I would go with, for FMA, Bob Hubbard and myself, because we had Martial Talk and FMA Talk discussion boards, which were two of the largest discussion boards promoting martial arts in the internet. The FMA Talk specifically was a V Bolton board dedicated to Filipino martial arts. It had a lot of traffic. The only thing that did more traffic than that was Martial Talk, and Martial Talk, it had a whole bunch of other stuff. Now, Bob Hubbard, people are like, who the hell's Bob Hubbard? Well, he's a great photographer. He did a lot of good web work back in the day. He's not doing anything now, but he got a lot of us talking together, and people were getting seminars from that. And then I would put Paulo Rubio for his dumpster fire and all the stuff that he's done. And Dean, you are in the list because you're in that list as well, because you're this era's no. But the thing, but what I did was, here we go. I created a list for social media. See, I would have done subcategories. So for social media,
but the thing is, though, the categories, to me, I think there's going to be too much overlapping.
Well, no, you're gonna have people listen, because I can easily put myself on multiple lists. I can put Remy on multiple lists. I can put Inosanto on multiple lists.
Here's the other thing too. Like, this was time consuming as it was, man. Like,
well, see, I would have done. It
would have been just like,
instead of top 50, I would have done. Let's say, hey, listen, personally, like I said, I would have first went off and said, let's look at all the arts. Who are the top guys in all the arts, past and present? Then I would have sit there and say, hey, of these lists, how many of them are really relevant? Because, like, okay, I wouldn't say Cabalas was very relevant with Dos or with Serrata initially, because he only had a finite number of people. But what it grew into afterwards, well, that's a whole nother story. So you give him props for being the starter, and he got the ball rolling. But in this case, like, okay, if you're in the Bay Area, Serrata is the FMA Taekwondo. Like, it's everywhere. And if you do FMA, it's Serrata in the Bay Area. And then what the sad thing is, actually, we're going to talk about this too, whether or not people should keep the art the same name or change it. I heard that somewhere. Was that on your show?
What's that now?
So if someone changes the art a little, if they don't keep it exactly the way it is, they should change the name of the art. And some people were pro. Was that Paulo who made a comment about that on your?
Could have been. I'm trying to recall. I'm trying to remember.
I can see if there's enough difference where it no longer represents, but I also see a lot of egocentric nonsense too.
Goes outside the box of what.
But by how much?
Right.
I think, if I recall the conversation you're referencing, I think it was pretty substantial.
Yeah. So, I mean, I see a lot of people teaching Serrata. Like, I was over at Robert Castro. I taught at his place, and he had all these bunch of people came in. And this guy, they come in, they do their demo, and I'm looking at them. I'm like, one, why aren't these guys on the floor? Oh, they just came in to do the demo and go. What would you have done? And I'm like, I would have said you can bring one uke, and then the rest have to pay for the seminar, Oh, we should have thought of it. I'm like, okay, whatever. So I'm watching them, and I'm like, what is this system? What's called this? I go, that looks like Serrata. we got real quiet. I'm like, Am I not supposed to say that? Like, yeah, and then it turns out a lot of styles over there, they just renamed it. They're the same damn art. I can't tell you how many times people are doing modernese and don't give the Prices brothers any credit for that. Or Combatant. Actually, so
I don't see how you do that. But.
They follow. So okay, here we go. What do we got here? Could do like People Magazine, sexiest stick fighter alive. Well, I mean, come on. I won't be
covering that. So.
We could do that. Unfortunately, GM Poggy said no.
Yeah.
How do you feel to be snubbed by GM Poggy? How's that? Have you gone to therapy about that yet?
Well, we had a talk.
Did he get your credit card numbers back?
No way that it was beneath him to be on a list with anybody else. He solely deserved his own list. He was a little angry with me, and he basically hijacked my PayPal account.
I heard that. Did you get that back yet, or are you still working on that?
Well, I'm still working on getting that refund.
Oh my goodness!
Did you see the picture I put up? No, it was his.
Oh, that one. Yeah, I knew it was. Yeah, I saw. I watched. I was listening. So before we did this, I listened and watched the show. I was partially in my car, so that portion I couldn't.
Did you see his comment though?
No, I did not.
Here, let me see if I can find it. Oh my God, it's just classic Jim Poggy. All right, here. Just bear with me. But it was something to the effect of, I'm glad I didn't have to pay for this show. I mean, just something very GM Poggy like. But yeah. Oh, what happened?
I don't know. He might have had to step out.
Okay. All right. So let me see if I can. All right. I'm going through the comments, which happened to be a lot that night. But let me see if it comes up. It was definitely towards the end. So okay. Oh yeah, I found it. Okay, here we go. Ready? Good thing this show is free, so I don't need to ask for my money back refund. I mean, just nice. Typical. But yeah, I mean, and again, in short, I mean, like, yeah, there are other creative ways I could have, but far as amount of time that I wanted to invest into doing this, and the amount of time it was just taking me just to come up, again, I should have just did 100 right off the top of the bat, but just the 50, and then on top of that, going into categories, I just know, man, that would have just been, for me, somebody else might be able to do it really quickly. They might just be able to make categories and just put people there, plug them in like pieces. To me, that would have not been an easy task.
Well, I mean, it sounded like for you is really the exercise and what the discussion gets you rather than a definitive kind of, hey, this is the only thing you need to know. And I don't know, like I said, to me, this is about the discussion, the exploration, and inclusion. I think it fits the rest of your approach. So I thought
here's the other thing too. I'm really hoping, and I have a feeling, since the first one was received so well, I'm going to guess the second one will be as well. And I think what this is going to do is, since the majority community, hopefully they'll continue to appreciate it, that hopefully this can open up further dialogue of things that maybe people were a little resilient to talk about, but maybe now they can. Because if you think about it, we should be able to talk about this. People talk about their top boxers all the time, their top MMA fighters. Sure. Why can't we talk about, I mean, and be able to, agree to disagree, and without getting upset or looking at somebody different or unfriending them or what have you, which I'm sure after tomorrow night, I'm sure my list will maybe go down. But you know what though, if the majority, here's the thing I go by, if the majority of the community appreciates it and they like it, to me, that you're always going to have those few. You're going to have those few who are going to be disgruntled, and generally speaking, those ones that are disgruntled, generally speaking, are ones that are riding off the coattails and not really doing much on their own, or they think they're doing something, but they're really not. You know what I mean? Because I pretty much know, just by virtue of doing these shows, I can say pretty accurately the majority. I know who's promoting, I know who's trying to make the community better, and I know who's just sitting on the sidelines and watching with popcorn. You know what I mean? It's not it's not that hard.
Popcorn's pretty good.
Well, popcorn is good, but
some people just want to watch the world burn.
And you know what I mean? And then those are and I'm like, if those are the ones that are unhappy, I'm okay with that.
People are some people make a profession out of that. I don't worry about it too much.
That's what I mean. Like in the beginning, that would have bothered me. Like when I first did the show, I was like, okay, well, I gotta be careful. I want to, now I'm just like, you know what? That doesn't mean like I'm gonna be make this transference into a jerk or not. I mean, I'm still gonna remain true to who I am and been, but at the same time, I'm not gonna like have sleepless nights.
Well, it's a shame. Like we talk about this all the time. Like, it's okay if you don't like Italian food. So why isn't it okay if I don't like Cauli Illustrissimo or Dulce Pares or
There's absolutely nothing wrong with it. But I can't believe you just said KI, but we're gonna let that go.
You want to know what? I got a long list. KI,
I mean, that's not.
Well, first of all, because it's not K, it's A. It's AI.
But it's So I'm pretty much okay with that. Again, I look at the majority. The majority spoke to me, and the majority basically appreciated what was done. Yes, there could have been better approach, which I'm going to go over tomorrow night in the pre-show or in the beginning, just saying I should have just did it at 100 right off the bat, and that'll be a quick fix. I was going
to say, so what was the most interesting feedback you got? It could be negative, it could be positive, but what was the most thought-provoking that made you feel like, hey, this was an added just an added thing that you weren't expecting, that another positive that is just, that's what happens when you bring stuff to the fore?
Your comment, your message to me.
Oh, yeah. Okay.
Was, and a few others saying that, hey, I think what you did was really good. It's about time that somebody was able to bring this up and have an open forum to talk about it, share opinions, and express that. There was a comment made on the show, and most of the comments were really positive and good. They really, really were. But one said, well, I forget. Actually, I'm not gonna say who it was. I do remember. Was like, well, he should be in the top 25. But just a blanket statement, like no criteria.
First you did alphabetical,
and of course,
you did say at the beginning of the show.
And I'm like looking at that. I'm like, so I just kind of ignored it. Didn't wipe the comment out. But I'm just thinking like, you could have maybe added a little substance to that, like why you feel he should have been in there. I did mention the criteria. You could have pulled from that list.
As much as I love Remy and I think he's done a lot, I know that there's other people who've done more things in other departments. I mean, we talk about, like, if you look at the original book, there is a sparring section, and inside of Moderniste, some of the people don't, Moderniste doesn't spar. I go, no, Moderniste in the States didn't spar, but a bunch of us chose to spar. So Moderniste as an art didn't, and I get why, because it was a secondary or tertiary art, and they weren't going to invest all the money to get the gear, and it wasn't easy to get back then. Where in the Philippines, you could just go to Quiapo and they'd have your stuff real simple.
That makes sense, though.
But the thing here is, like, it's like, hey, Remy had it, but I'm like, I'm more than happy to give credit to the Quignetes for all the work that they've done. I mean, they've really, whether you like the weak calf style fighting or not, these are the guys that really organize it and spread it out and there's a lot of people that, it's funny when I watch, it's funny, I know some of the Baja Zubu guys, and they fight weak calf, and I'm like, wow, that looks nothing like your art.
Yeah, but the other thing on the weak calf and the Quignetes, what it's doing for the youth over there? It is seriously getting the youth in there. Like,
well, it's not just weak calf now. Now it's PCAF and other organizations.
Well, there's PCAF and there's weak calf, and they're starting to work together. I mean,
I like the added stick fighting more. Well, actually, I like the blade or point rules better because it's easier to. So here's the thing: I've got nothing against I've got nothing against continuous fighting if the rules make sense and referees enforce the rules. So a lot of times they don't enforce the rules. So
last American team that went over there, I guess there was some funkiness that kind of went on.
Well, I don't know, don't care. Ultimately, what a lot of times I see is they become rock'em sock'em robots and they don't disengage. Well, there's rules about that, and the referees need to enforce.
Well, that's what they brought up, though. That was their point. The refs weren't doing what they were supposed to be doing.
Well, then maybe people need to quit WECAF and do another organization. There's also GSBA in the States. There was a split there. And, and I get it. I mean, okay, listen, I'm not saying they did this. But if they're... Okay, when I was in Europe for the European... Okay, I happened to be in Rome during the WECAF championships, and one of the Italian judges got disqualified for favoritism. I understand how a home country might do that. I get it, especially if it's the Philippines and they want their people to win because it's their national sport. I get that.
Yeah.
Okay, sure. It happens. If that's consistently happening, then you have to look to either fix it. You're either part of the problem or the solution. If the solution is leave and start your own thing like GSBA did, so be it. But that doesn't mean they got it right either. Now, and then now there's more and more outlets. So there's other places that people can go.
Oh yeah, and it's gonna, and I believe those formats are probably gonna continue to grow, because if you look at look at the bigger the systems that have the most practitioners currently. Okay, modern Ace, your Datu Hartmans, your bigger.
Okay, let's go back to this here. Let me get caught up. Okay, who's got the matches? Okay, we started talking about that. Express your opinions, and the adults will understand. That's to you, Dan. And well, actually, I want to talk about when you go on the show. Okay, so before we go any further, you don't need to explain yourself. Listen, you've got plenty of integrity, and feel free. If anyone wants to say this, you can take it up with me. If anyone want to question this man's integrity, I'll be the first to stand with him. Okay. And no, he didn't send me a check because he's got to do PayPal. It work better. I can't do PayPal. God damn it, Poggy! I'm going to get you for this. But no, listen. We may not agree on everything. We're not supposed to. We have different opinions.
Yeah.
But I never question this man's integrity. He's always doing stuff for the right intent. Now. And
making so much money off this channel, guys.
Oh yeah, what about 30 cents a month, 40 cents a month?
It all goes to charity.
There you go. So with these clowns, if people don't listen, everyone wants their guy to be the guy or girl or whatever, If they can't deal with the fact that they're not, then so be it, And if they, here's the thing: is this was said about Remy at one time. He goes, Remy's got no people. It was told me by one of them. I'm like, you're right, because Inosanto's got all these names. Now, of course, I think part of the reason why there was all these names is that I don't think West Coast martial arts is better than East Coast. They had better media coverage. All the magazines are in California.
Oh my God, I would totally agree with you on that. Yeah,
I'm talking martial arts as a whole. I'm not
as
talking
a whole. Yeah, not even FMA. I agree.
And actually, by the way, for the record, everybody, 80% of the population in the States lives on the East Coast.
Yeah. Okay. You're right, though. I mean,
So to me, I've always looked at the West Coast as being more of a fad and a thing to do, where the East Coast, but the West Coast is kind of almost like a survival thing that I think of. But I think we've got just as good. I think we've got better martial artists over here, and I also think we're far enough away from each other. We don't have this incestuous try to taking each other's students versus developing your own. We've got enough. We got plenty of room to breathe. I mean, when we go to Ty's, you got to go to Ty's event. You really got to go to Ty's event.
Which is?
He's got two. He's got a fall thing and a spring thing, and he charges. He doesn't charge. He asks for $10 or so donation to go for the food he's cooking, and the structure.
Absolutely incredible.
Right,
I do have a question for both of you, though.
Yeah. Okay.
Not to flip the script. I'm generally interested.
You're going to.
I'm generally interested in this. I would like to know, and within the top 100, what females would you put in there? I put Graciela in there, of course, but what other female, and Maya is going to be in there. What other females would you put in there?
Okay. First of all, I would first
based off my criteria though, just so based.
I would first want to create a women's list, period.
Okay, so who would you put on it?
Okay, I don't have many. Okay,
that's why I'm asking, because I didn't either, and I was starting to feel like bad.
No, okay, Graciela. Okay, because Graciela. Okay, let's talk about her.
Yeah.
I don't think her as being one of us. I think of her being a kickboxer. And she's done the sports jiu-jitsu and stuff like that. I don't think that FMA is her.
I don't know. When I interviewed her, she was I liked the way she presented. She still spars. There was just enough there for me.
I think if we're talking FMA, I don't know if she's got enough for me to put her on the list.
Fair enough. Who would you put?
So listen. Here's the question, which I don't know, and
what about Maya?
Maya who?
Solder, under Visayan lineage. She wrote a couple books. She moves.
Right, she's a Sunny Impact person.
Never heard of her.
Yeah. Maya?
No, yeah,
never heard of her.
Yeah, Maya Soderholm, right?
Yeah, she's on the list.
Yeah, no, she's
is there footage of her out there?
Oh yeah.
I may have seen her, but I've never,
No, she's got 2 or 3 books.
Send me some links.
I'll
be like, Paulo, send me a link.
That's right. I think she's probably a good put.
No, I definitely have her.
Here's the problem with the FMA industry, is that first of all, okay, so I have a new student. Mm-hmm. I'm not going to tell you what state she's from, but she went to our Florida camp, and she was telling me like her previous instructor was a student of somebody else, a person who was on your list of the top 50. Mm. And women shouldn't be doing martial arts. They should be in the kitchen cooking and all this other stuff. But the thing is,
knew that, I would definitely.
This was an offshoot student of the guy.
Oh, okay.
Of your one. Okay, so one of the guys that you had on, one of his students was making comments like this. And she was telling me on how she was bruised and battered doing FMA to make sure she could hit a shot. I've known other people that were done the exact same way. I had a friend in Pennsylvania who I don't want to.
Can you tell me the name later? Are you able to share the name with me later?
To be honest with you, once the guy that I can tell you who when we're done with the show, I'll tell you where his lineage comes from.
Okay.
But I had other people that had the same thing, and they treated the women like shit.
That's why I want to know, so I can.
And a lot of the women won't. I mean, women are smarter than us. We put up with that shit.
No, they don't. Right. Nor should they.
Jackie's all pissed off, but I mean, Jackie will tell you. I mean, like.
Well, who do you here? Okay, Datu, I want you to think about PG. Off the top of your head, do you have anybody?
Oh! I got someone who's amazing, sure. But she's got no name.
Who?
Tuhan Arlene. She's freaking amazing.
Tuhan Arlene.
But okay, see, she works in a government type thing, and she's off the grid.
I know. She was on the show. I know. And she
is amazing. I watched her and her partner. I don't know. Is that her husband? Boyfriend? Whatever. I don't know who. Sure. But they both have that kind of job.
Yep. Joe Melkin and Tuhan Arlene. Yeah.
Oh my God. She is one of the tightest Pikiti people I've seen. So, really? You hear what I just said there? Pikiti people. I didn't say male or female. See, here's my thing. I was okay. There's I'm all about promoting and giving women an opportunity. I'm all about, and if you see me teach, I give women and children opportunities to demo with me all the time. I've had people talk about this. Like, hey, I'll bring a woman up. I'll bring a child up. I want the engagement, the encouragement, and all this other stuff. I will not put someone on if I'm looking for an art, I look for the top people. I don't care what their gender is. I don't care what their race is. I don't care. I mean, to be honest with you, I look for Filipinos first, because if we're doing FMA, because they could be closer to the source, and I'm a good enough student that I could take the material out of them if they're not a good instructor. I mean, I know how to talk and get things going, and okay, but I don't hire people. I don't hire people for an event just because they have the proper chromosome. That being said, I was going to do a next generation of PTK, but COVID and all this other stuff. Arlene was on my list. Now she crossed a couple things. It was a bonus that she was a female, but that's not why she was picked. Now my girl Shia, here's a funny thing. So my little girl Shia, who's like the youngest modern East black belt out there for adults, she plays soccer. She's a beast, and the coach played her against this team near us, and there's a lot of Middle Easterns, and it messes with their head. He didn't put her out there because she was a female. He put her out there because she was the best damn player on the team.
Gotcha. And
the bonus was it messed with their head. And that's how I bring people to the table when I do stuff. So I did the 10-year anniversary of Modern East. I had Kim Foreman, formerly Kim Dillman, as a special guest. It wasn't because she was a female, it's because it was George Dillman and her ex-husband. It was the big four. It wasn't the big three. It was Remy Pracis. Actually, it was the big two and the two halves. It was Remy Pracis, Wally J, and the Dillmans. And she was half of that. She taught at my event because she was there. She was in. Had nothing to do with her being a female. We had a good relationship. We were always going to be friends. And she brought something good to the table. And so when I look at people, it's hard. Unfortunately, our industry is really hard on women. First, the martial art industry is hard on women.
What do you mean? I was looking,
and then FMA is worse.
Some...
But two on Arlene, I have not seen any woman better than her. And you know what? There's not many men better than her.
Okay.
She's amazing. She's got teaching skills. She's got precision. Now, it's her boyfriend, husband, whatever, was her training partner. So, of course, they had that chemistry, so they know each other. But my God, they were amazing. They were amazing. And I mean, so when it comes to women in the FMA industry, I look at her. Now, like I said, we can talk about Paula or Deanna, but I see her more for the movie industry and what she's doing, promoting it, not necessarily as a martial art instructor, because I don't see her teaching. I see her doing movies and
I think she did before that. Don't quote me on that. I think she did, but don't quote me on that.
But she hasn't had a lot of face time. I mean, look, her father's a little big. It's kind of hard to live up to her father, you know?
Yeah, I mean, obviously that's a huge expectation. I mean, I wouldn't want to put a place on anybody. How about you, BG? Who do you have for women?
I mean, those are good puts. I taught with Tuan Arlene before, and we hit it off really, really well. And I would say, in addition to all the other great things people were saying about her, her attitude and her sharing and her openness, top notch.
Maria, Arlene, Diane,
right?
Okay.
And I didn't get to see her a whole lot, but I liked her presence and her carry. I don't know, just as far as listing some notable females, I like Peachy.
Interesting.
Peachy.
I like her. I like her.
No, you liked her because she kept stabbing me.
People assume she's a shoo-in. People would assume she's a shoo-in.
No. She was the face of the Lunetta group, but she wasn't the
right. But so that's a reach and an influence and a noticeable person, right? She has a presence and she carries, right? And so that's part of it, right? So you have some people that actually might be on some people's lists that I might not want there, but you can't deny that they have a connection to a certain, some big portion of people. So anyway,
when
so
I
that's
first
one.
met her, I didn't like her at all.
Really?
Well, no, she was feeding me their Cinco Terras.
Oh yeah.
And then she was 1, 2, 3,
and then
4, 5.
Yep.
Every single time. And I'm trying not trying not to do what we do. I'm trying to do
what they did, right.
What the KI is doing.
No,
and
I remember
got
that.
to the point where I was about to just pick up a tree and hit her with it. But I mean, but her and I we're very friendly when we're around each other now. It was just a little rough.
And I wish I knew some of these people better. There were a bunch of women in Dieter's group that were quite skilled and very skilled also at teaching.
Okay.
I had the name a second ago. It slipped my mind. One of the ones I worked with quite a lot.
Okay, here we go. Let's do this. Let's get caught up. Not my personal experience, thank goodness. Okay, that was talking about being treated that way. Right. Yes, she is great. Arlene is very skilled. Maya teaches seminars across the world. Somebody send me a
I can't
link.
believe.
I've showed you some videos, and I've talked with her about when we were talking about.
Wait. If she's not the Polynesian girl with the
No.
No,
No.
she's English.
Okay. That young lady Tim referenced
Shia.
Shia was awesome to watch.
Yeah.
She hit people with well and sparking. I got
Yep,
a 12-year-old that adults are afraid of, and she's short. It's not like she's like 12 years old. She's
right.
Let me go. Danny Terrell. There's very obscure practitioners.
Yep.
Females are very hard to.
I tell you, I was starting to feel bad.
Oh, somebody has.
I had like.
Okay, I blocked the user because somebody just started throwing shit up. I bet you we started talking about women and they just started jumping on it.
Well, let's change it. We could change the subject.
I got rid of them. They're done.
It was tough. Like, I'm going through it, and I am making concerted effort to make representation there because I felt bad. But when I was going through it, it was tough. Like, Maya was a shoe-in for me. Diane was a shoe-in for me. Graciela, Peachy. I wrestled that for a few reasons that I just know from background stuff. But
okay. Well, listen, I would put Peachy in because she does it.
Yep.
Here I'll give you one from Japan. Mildred.
Who?
Let me. I don't know her last name. Give me a minute here. She is a Mildred Nakamura.
Oh yeah.
Oh.
So she's doing a couple of things. She's got her own. Here, I'll pull this up here.
Okay.
Share screen. So first of all, this is the logo of her club in Japan.
Okay.
So Mildred, I like her. There we go. Here. Oh.
Yeah, unfortunately, I just never heard.
She's making waves.
Yep.
Ooh.
I'm not. She's a woman leading an FMA group in the Philippines. I mean, in Japan. In Japan.
Okay. All right.
In Japan. She's Filipino. She's just married a Japanese man, if I'm not mistaken.
Okay.
But she's doing through Peachy. My computer is getting real. It's getting computery. Hate when it does computery stuff. All right, I'm gonna stop sharing here. Okay, there we go.
That's all right. I got.
It would be difficult too. Like if I was going to talk about some of my internal arts or my kung fu, right? It'd be a similarly hard question. It could be a culture.
Josephine Delamar?
I don't know who that is.
I thought we had her on. That name sounds familiar. I think. How to call? I know you missed me.
See us up. Hey Dean,
the video?
Salty knocking me
out. That was very, very impressive. Just the fact, Renee, that
was one. That was nice. It went right down the middle. Boop, done.
That was nice. Yeah, Renee was kind enough to send me some videos.
I like Harland a lot. I only met him once, but I really dug hanging out with him. And for some reason, he let me hang out with him too. I'm like, what the hell's up with that? So, Mildred works with Bambit Dulai, and she's working with Peachy. But I think she's gone more the Peachy route. Maybe because she's had so much modern already in her DNA. She needs a.
I was gonna say because what I was seeing her do wasn't KI, so.
Well, no, she does multiple systems.
Okay. Oh, all right. Understood. Okay.
So here's a list of what Dieter Kanoodle put together. So
incidentally, he's on the list tomorrow.
Okay. So and Jackie's on this one too. So okay, Mildred, Kona, Cheryl, I know them. Gina Lynn, she would be someone to talk about.
We just had her on recently.
She's got legs. And I'm not talking like ZZ Top. She's got legs. She's got chops there. I don't know who this person is. I mean, Dieter had a lot of people from his organization. Okay, Wendy Dragonfire. So I don't know.
Other than Jack, I gotta be honest with you. Other than Jackie, well,
you met Janet Elfs.
I did.
Yeah, over at Brian's event. She's a very tall woman. She's also a poet.
Okay, that's starting to ring a bell. But yes, I know Jackie. Yeah,
Bethel.
Gwendolyn. I mean,
Yeah,
she could
Jackie's
be
there.
actually. She could be on it. Maybe that's a choice there. You know.
So I look at this list. Okay, to be honest with you, this list is just okay. So they did a women's seminar basically.
Mm.
1, 2, 5 people of notoriety, and that's
5
all I'm
people.
going to say.
Okay. All right.
I'm not going to say who's whom, but of the 6, 12, 14, 5 of them, a bunch of them are just organization members of the DAV.
Okay.
And sorts. I mean, nothing wrong with Ashley. Ashley, she's not even active anymore, to my knowledge. She does actually. I don't want to say anything negative about her. She's a competition shooter, but she's just a Dayangisa. It's not like she's got a lot of stuff in there. So they were just. This was more. I take it that this is more of an empowerment seminar, which is good because you need to do that. I mean, like I said, when I'm at my seminars, I'll constantly bring up a lot of people. You know, I'll bring the children up because I teach children all the time. So it's easy for me to do that. And I'll get comments about it. Man, you really did it. And like, dude, this is what I do every day. Working with a kid's easy. I know what to expect with a kid. Those who don't teach kids, those are the ones that are fearful of it because they don't know what to expect.
Yeah.
Well, and you need those kind of opportunities, right? Because people need to see that, one, all sorts of different people are interested. 2, all sorts of different people can do it. And 3, all sorts of different people have a lot to offer. So I think that's really good. There are a few people on the list that I worked closely with when I was teaching out there before, and I can say actually even some of the organizational ones they're good. There's also people that are going to be good. I think you already mentioned, and they'll be standouts that keep going what they're doing as far as reach and influence and that kind of stuff. You already mentioned Jackie, but I think Sabrina is on that up and comers as well.
Up and coming. I think
Sabrina. Okay, good. Sabrina. Yeah.
I mean, she does a few different things, but I really like her teaching style, and I like her presence, and I like the fact that she's competed sparring type stuff.
You know what? I think Ty nailed it right there. There's a lot of up and comers. See you later. See you later. There's a lot of up and comers, but I don't think. You know, once again, this martial arts as a whole is tough on women.
Right.
Yeah.
Let alone the Filipino martial art. And it's not fair.
You know who I'd like to have stuck around more? Karen Callahan.
Yeah. Karen passed away. She was amazing.
Yep. She did her work.
Oh my God.
She was good. She was game for, You would have liked her, Dean.
Oh, yeah.
I need people of size to throw around and to throw me around. So genetically speaking, that's mostly men. Okay. Doesn't have to be. I would prefer to teach women and children because I look at them for 2 reasons. One, they don't have size as a whole, which means I have to teach them good technique off of larger people, which is what I want. I don't want brutes. I don't want Neanderthals swinging sticks. Secondly, this is our future. If we can get more women in the clubs, then more women will come.
And then more women will bring their children.
But exactly. But at the end of the day, all you guys out there, here's the phrase: don't shit where you eat.
Right.
I'm going to tell you my story. Here we go. In my career, 30 plus years, I have only dated 3 people from the pool. Okay, 1 parent, 2 students, and the 1 student, 20 plus year relationship with. Oh, wait a minute, right there. There we go.
There we go.
Okay. So I'm all down with, I mean, listen, it happens. This is where we meet people. It's hard. When I was on the circuit, I used to meet a lot of women on the circuit. So I would date out of town because I'd go to see Remy and I have opportunities. But what I didn't do is I didn't go out of town and date the students that I was teaching at the events.
Yeah.
And that was the, and unfortunately, that was one of the downsides of Remy because Remy was a lonely man. You know what? You don't know until you know. And back when Remy taught, no one could afford a cell phone. Not people who are teaching seminars for a living. And, I remember the first tour I went on by myself in California. I called home every day and I was still lonely. I'm like, when HBO first came out, they had two things. They had good movies, or they talked about the Bunny Ranch. And they talked about these women who worked the Bunny Ranch. That's where the prostitutes are, for those who don't know what I'm talking about. And the women would say,
Boy, we
I
digress.
just want to be held. These guys just want to be held. And I'm like, yeah, sure they want to be held. And when I did that the first 4 days of my tour by myself, I'm like, oh my God, I get it now. I almost bought a dog. Janice would have loved that.
So here's I like the newest comment by Jack.
Way down.
Yep. Okay.
The late Delmar Mike's is teaching. Oh, you know what? And Sawanda's teaching. But Herman's sister. And
so
here we go.
We're trying to get into Silas.
In my adult class, I have 3 adult women out of 16. The kids are more 50-50. And actually, in the kids, I'm getting closer to that.
Well, and this is even Jackie, right? So as a lady running a class, she even has that same ratio that we all have. I have 2 or 3 adult women in my class out of, we'll say 10, so a little better. But
so think about it. Her being, if the head instructor's a woman and she's having a hard time attracting women, that just tells you how it's all, because it's still, we haven't come over that. And martial arts is the minority. If we could have martial arts schools, like, okay, listen, we have less than 1%, but let's say it's 1%. I wish I had 1% of the members of my town, because that would give me 450 students.
Yeah, right.
Okay, so it's less than 1%.
Right.
Okay, I'm under 100 students out of a town with 45,000 people. But when the dance studio in my plaza has photo day, there's a line going down the plaza. People are lined up all day long. When they're doing registration, it's down the plaza all day long. No one lines up for martial art registration. So if we could get more, and once again, then go back to this, like, don't get butthurt when you're not on the list. Don't get butthurt when your teacher's not on the list. Let's work together and be thankful that there was 50 people to put on the damn list, and now you've got 100 people. See, actually, now the thing is, did you have a hard time bringing up quality people or keeping it down to 50?
No, it was a hard time keeping it. It wasn't the quality.
See, then it's a win for us.
One would think one with that's not emotional subjective would tend to agree with that. Yeah, but yeah, I believe future teach them well and let them lead the way. Oh my God. You got to find out who that guy is, man.
Yeah.
That's the mission for the remainder of the year. You
go.
have to find out who that guy is.
So listen, at the end of the day, I wouldn't worry about what anyone says. You're just going to sit.
No, I'm not. I don't have time for the noise.
I would start tomorrow saying, hey, listen, I really should have done more. HBO cat houses. He happens to know exactly what I'm talking about. Try having 4 Filipino groups in an island of 100, less than 20 students. Yep.
Wow.
I know. Yep. So listen, here's what I would do. Tomorrow I would just say, I've amended the list. Boom.
Yeah, I was going to keep it 50, but after thinking during the day, the first one, I've changed it down to 50 to make it more inclusive.
There you go.
And that's a win, like I said, overall. We have that many luminaries in our field. That's amazing.
That's what I mean. But you're going to have some that are just going to.
Well, come on. Okay, we talked about it. I don't know who the hell this Maya person is.
No, she's great.
She's going to be an easy find. You just type her on YouTube.
I'm doing it as we speak.
But
no one has sent me a link yet, so I'm going to have to do this on my own here.
It's spelled funny.
Yeah, M-A-I-J-A, Maya.
Yep.
M-A-I-J-A.
Solderholm. So SOLDERHOLM.
Remember we were talking about another guy who does Visayan and we were talking about people that knew about him.
Yeah. Jay's on the list tomorrow because you know carrying that.
Yeah. No, you know how I'm talking about, Dean, a different person.
Oh.
Yeah.
Yeah, I do.
Yep.
He did not make the list. Now I know that might be. Have you ran into said person?
Not for a while now.
He's yeah.
Do I know said person?
Yes.
We'll talk after.
Yep.
Yeah.
But the point is, we were trying to find out more information because information and connections are good. And she came up and was like, oh, I actually like her presence on screen. I like her drills and believability and bearing and control of whatever situation she's doing. It's awesome.
She did a fantastic interview. I mean,
did she? Okay. Yeah, I saw part of that. That's right.
She's
Mrs.
really.
Maya?
In fact, I gotta get her back on.
There you
She
go.
knocked out of the park.
Are we still talking about Maya?
Yep.
Yeah, we definitely digressed from.
So you had all of these names on that you were on your list. I know you've had
because
you had Sabrina.
Some people were dead, so
There were a good chunk of them. So here, a good chunk of them, I did have the opportunity to interview, but not all. I mean, because of course the deceased, I didn't. But 1, 2, 3, 4, 5.
I think you and
6,
Paulo had a great discussion.
Okay.
7.
Here we go.
7, 8, 9, 10. That guy Tim Hartman.
No, I'm talking about of the women. The women.
Oh, the women. Okay,
Yeah.
so I did interview Arlene. I did interview
Right.
Maya. I did interview Graciela. Peachy kind of strung me around for, to be quite honest.
You've had Sabrina on there, I believe, right?
I did have Sabrina, and we also had the last name Jadia.
Gina Lynn, yeah.
We just had her on actually.
Okay, right.
Yeah, Gina Lynn. Yeah. Listen,
GM Dan has a great point right there. So we shouldn't get distracted by this. Just because we're not thinking of more names doesn't mean there aren't some great people out there. Because there's a who we know or who is out there and visible is not necessarily all of what people should be drawing from. So keep your eyes out, enjoy who you like, and if you want to learn from them, you should jump out and learn them and enjoy them.
So here we go. Hey, gents. Dean, I thought you and Paulo did a great discussion. Never feel bad about your list. You have met and talked people others haven't. There you go. And by George, give me a holler. When are you going to come back and do some training?
Which is another thing which I kind of touched on in the beginning. Like if you look at the lens of objectivity, like they're like I've been completely objective. Like if you look at my guest pool of folks that I've had on, it's from all walks. I mean, we obviously don't discriminate, and we substantiate that, and it's evidenced by how we conduct ourselves.
Listen, I don't really. So I have been very pro your show. I've had some people that mixed feelings about the show, but that's because they don't know what they're listening to too many other people, and they're not doing their own research.
Mixed feelings on the show as a whole, or that episode?
Well, okay, just in general. I'm not talking that show. I'm talking about your show
As a whole. Yeah.
Well, because you had different volunteer staff members than you do now. I think that's probably the way to be as PC about it. And I said, listen, Dean's good peeps. You should talk to him. But unfortunately, when said people were admins of your group, they weren't necessarily the nicest online. So,
which is why we made changes.
Exactly. But some people listen. There are some people that we can mention that are amazing, and for some reason they show me a lot of respect and love. Haven't figured that one out yet, and I haven't put a dime in their pocket either. But the thing here is, as much as they like me, I would go, listen, you got to trust me. I'm like, well, I don't trust me. But unfortunately, some people. So I've got a person coming on the show in the future, which I'm not going to mention who they are, but it's a West Coaster. I'll give you that much. And they were concerned after we had a talk about this that I was setting them up. Well, it doesn't sound like I'm being set up. I'm like, set up. And then I remembered what the West Coast, and actually I went off on it, not off on him about him. I went off on him about this West Coast bullshit.
Right.
And, it's like, listen, stop with this shit. You guys got to grow up. See, that's the problem with the West Coast stuff. They're so close to each other, and they're too busy stabbing each other in the back. They can't get the traction.
I could see that. The issues that we had with the show, which is ridiculous, and I refuse to feed into it. And I say, look, you're either going to come on or you're not going to come on. I mean, not in those words,
Boom.
of course. Was with when somebody was in a couple of people that were in the group, not my admins or moderators, but they cannot complain about. If you look at like right now, Tom Pena is excellent. I mean, he's really the one that really helps me the most. I mean, what are you gonna say about Tom? I mean,
here's a good one. Here's from George. Here we go. And frankly, chances are that your list will evolve from month to month or year to year.
Sure.
Well,
good point. I would say on the year to year. Yeah, I think
here's the thing. None of us know everyone and everything. Okay. No, that's simple as that. I mean, here we got 3 different martial artists that have, that each of us have our own unique and large spread of networking, and there's going to be people that neither or any of us have ever heard of before. And I've talked to people and they get all, well, what about this guy? What about that guy? I'm like, I've never heard of him. How do you not hear about him? And a lot of times, it's a lot of West Coasters. A lot of West Coasters feel I've found this in the music industry as well with my friends in there, that if you're known on the West Coast, they feel that everyone should know who you are.
Yeah, okay.
And it's like, no. And I did let me remind me about the tour later, and I'll tell you about the tour I did with some people, and we'll get into it. But I mean, a lot of time once again, the East Coast brings a lot of heat. We bring a lot of substance to the table. And I know when I taught at the gathering, here's all the Stockton boys and all these people and all this other stuff. And I taught, and people were like, damn. And I'm like, yeah, I don't mess around. But now we were given X amount of time, and most of these guys were doing demos for 90% of their session. And I'm like, I got right into it, and I taught people a 26 count Sinwali because I was only given amount of time. I go, hey, I'm giving you a fun drill. So I do what we call our super Sinwali. I bring people out of the crowd and demonstrate it, and people are like, so you brought a student from New York? I go, no, that's one of Kovar's people. What? That's a Kovar student. Yeah. So how many they did? I taught them 5 minutes in the lobby before we did the demo, because I know how to teach, and I know and I can be a good partner. And when you're given that much time, you got to learn how to use it. And unfortunately, some people just gobble it all up to do other things. But we are digressing. So listen, I think you did a good thing. Screw what anyone else says. Yeah. And have them make their own goddamn list.
I said I did get a message, and that was my exact rebuttal. I said, well, you know what? Nobody is stopping them from making their own list. And the fact that nobody has addressed this on social media before and made an interview about it, so
make your own list. Listen, and it's not your fault that it's not your job. Okay, first of all, you're not getting paid. Well, you're 30 cents a month. But anyways, you're not getting paid to do anything. And if someone doesn't have the presence out there, okay, it's on them. When an article comes out in Modern or Nice, when they did in the past, and people sat there and said, well, Tim, what do you think about this? Well, I go, well, was it a good article? Yeah. Well, that's good, but you weren't in it. What do I care? If it's an article in the magazine, someone in Buffalo starts looking for martial arts or modern, the first thing they're going to do is going to find out, they're going to, hey, let's go check this Tye Botting guy because he wrote the article. Well, Tye Botting lives 7 hours from Buffalo. I wonder if there's anyone local that does this. Oh, my God, there is. And it's a lead for me. You know how I started getting some of my students? Speakman doing Perfect Weapon, hitting the couch with a pair of sticks. It wasn't even Filipino, but I was getting students because of Perfect Weapon. So I don't care. You got to look at the bigger picture. And if you're upset that you're not known, then get off your ass and do something about it. It's not my job. It's not Ty's job. It's not Dean's job.
It's generally speaking, the ones who tend to be negative or complain are ones that generally think more of themselves than they really are, overinflated, or just disgruntled in nature. You know what I mean? I don't know how else to put it. Yeah. So.
Well, I got one of my stats wrong, and for actually, you know what? I think what it was, they talked about a show. Maybe only 20% of the population they're rounding up lives on the coast. But we're going to get back to that. Let me get caught up with this. So first of all, Dean, I was one of those who left FB group because some of the members / staff. Tim said, "Give you a chance." And I've watched you, hear you, and seen others enough. I rejoined your group. Boom.
Well, I really appreciate that, Rich. In the future, please do not hesitate. If there's something you see that doesn't resonate with you or you don't like, please do not hesitate to send me a message, because sometimes I'm not aware. What happens is when some of these posts come in, they get into a comments, they start to string along, and I might miss stuff. We do a pretty good job of policing, but I'm sure there's things we miss. But please don't hesitate to private message me and let me know what's going on. I'd be more than happy to address it.
There you go. And just for the record, Dean, if things go sideways, it's not my fault. Okay, and really go, Bill. People within the FMA who stab you in the back is one reason why I moved out of the States and isolated myself.
Backstabbing an FMA? Ooh.
Never. I find many are more about showing or talking on how good they are than supposed to be teaching. Yep. Here's Rich.
For me.
Quick search. So this is, I think what it was, I watched something. They said like 20% of the people lived in California and the rest was elsewhere. So 47 live on the East Coast, 29 in Central, 6.7 and 16.6 in the Pacific. So, we outnumber the West Coast.
Interesting.
I don't want this. Let's see. Ignore the naysayers.
Yeah.
Just continue your path. All right.
Yep.
West Coast.
All right. We know he lives on the West Coast.
Oh, no. He's in Michigan. But West Coast doesn't. They don't know pizza. Okay. They don't know pizza. Dan Medina. Any news of FMA? News on FMA is good for all of us. Exactly.
Yes. How do you put it better than that?
Yep. Boom.
You summed it up.
There you go. Hello, brothers from Portland. Okay. And East Coast reminds me of Biggie and Tupac because we're BA out here. All right, listen.
Oh my God.
I think I think you did a great job. I would have done things differently. Ty may have done things another way. You did it your way, and that's all good.
I did it my way. Isn't that a song?
you shed some light on people that normally didn't, or and the thing here is now here we go, big picture. If people listen and there's names on it, they don't know who the hell they are, they're going to start researching them.
Paulo didn't even know. Some of the names I had on the list, Paulo wasn't even familiar with, which is okay.
He didn't know Nene.
Yeah, which is nothing wrong. I mean, there's nothing wrong with that. I mean, there's a couple names he brought up that I wasn't familiar with that he had in his list. So it was kind of
East Coast reminds me of, okay, no, I got that one. Reach but big deep dish pizza Michigan thing. Listen, and the thing here too is I listened to Paulo, and I think some of the names he mentioned when he put his list together was just giving out shouts to people he likes.
No, he admitted that these are people that he's touched hands with, and
and it's like, I mean, when we talk about the top 50, I gotta say right off the bat, I'm a snob because I've crossed hands. I didn't just attend a seminar within Asano. I've done stuff within Asano. Yeah, so I've had the opportunity to have a couple quick interactions with him. I've done things with Leo Gahe. I've done things with Nene Tortao, and then Tolfer Ricketts, and Ray Galan, and Remy freaking Praces, Roland Dantes.
He was on the list.
Roger Agbulis.
He was on the list.
Well, I tell you, listen, and for those who don't, okay, now here we go. Remy Praces taught Roland Dantes. Roland Dantes should be on the list because he was the one. If it wasn't for his efforts, the Arnice bill may never have been passed.
Yeah, he's on the list. He was on, yeah.
And like I said, in the Philippines, what I would go with, because you didn't do a Philippine, like I think Renee Tungsten and Rodel de Guck, Renee Tungsten and Bambit Dulai are doing a good job of promoting Sport Arnice and Modern Arnice by name. As much as I love Bambit Dulai, Rodel de Guck, as much as I love him, I don't think he has the presence that the others do. His thing is stick shot more than anything else. He does have global students, but he doesn't have the same kind of numbers.
Mm.
But they were all they're all in it together. The more people do an FMA, the more people do an FMA.
Yeah.
So, the concern about, hey, these people might be on the list because you've met them or known them or touched hands with them. I actually think that's a good thing, because turn it about the other way. You've met them, crossed hands with them, touched them, and you still want to put them on the list, because there's nothing like real experience to shed a light on reality. For example, here's a person who's participating on this chat who feels really good, Dan Medina. He's amazing. Work with him if you haven't got a chance to.
Might as well just give it away.
If I hadn't have felt him, I wouldn't have known that.
Yeah. No, he's on the list, and Torn Brandon Jordan.
Yep.
So I should just, like I said, to reiterate, I should just say, hey, we got top 100, but at any rate, that will be said tomorrow. So
that'd be great. Well, and guess what? You should welcome people talking about their own list, because guess what? That's more exposure. That's more discussion. That's more sharing. That's more understanding. And again, more names that people can go, oh yeah, they like them. They like them. Oh, why? Wow. What? I'll remember that name even if I don't look it up.
You know what somebody suggested? I don't know how carried away I want to get into this or how deep I want to go. Somebody said, hey, after you're 100, you make, some of the folks that you wrestle with, or that were so close, make an honorable mention.
No.
I'm not saying I'm doing it. I'm saying this was a suggestion.
Because you're coming up with 100 names. Sooner or later, it becomes, you got to put everyone in there. I mean, what's the,
Yeah, it was just a suggestion.
If you're going to do something, have it exclusive. Keep it exclusive.
Yeah.
Well, you could go there. You could turn it on its head and go the 50 worst.
That also was.
Didn't Paulo bring that up?
What's that?
Didn't Paulo bring that up?
The
50 worst.
No, who brought that up?
I thought Paulo brought that up. We should do the 50 worst.
Yeah,
that would be.
That
would be tough.
You start off with Sinaway. Hey, have you ever heard of Sinaway from Mexico?
Who?
I don't know if he just disappeared after COVID.
I forget his last name.
Sinaway, something or another. He's like, I can't find any of his websites anymore. All right, listen, we're going to keep
groups, like top training groups, like make a list of top training.
Oh, there you go. I like that.
Neat. I thought that was kind of neat, right?
Or even not top. Guess what? If you're going to understand your own interest in FMA better, maybe a list of groups that you would be well served by training with, just to see different pieces of the puzzle.
I thought that was
rounding out things, right?
Yeah.
Well, listen, we're at 2 hours already.
Right.
Oh my gosh.
We should probably. I mean, who's going to want to watch this?
Yeah.
Listen, real quick. Actually, I'm not even going to do the sign off that we normally do. We're going to do a little slightly different because we're going to stay on anyways and talk about this. So, because we all want to tease each other a little. So, listen. First of all, I want to thank you for stopping up on the show. Yeah. And I want to, as always, everybody. I mean, we got 15 people this late into the show live. I mean, you guys got nothing better to do. But listen, I think you did a good thing. If people don't like it, do their own damn list.
Please.
There's things coming down the road, and then share. Talk about it. Do something about it. Thank God there was 50 people, or now 100 people to talk about an FMA that were notable.
You know what I mean?
Win-win.
And here's the thing. What if you thought you should have been on there, but your teacher got on there? Man, what's wrong with that?
Right.
I don't know.
What if you got on, your teacher didn't get on there?
Or that too.
Well, but then again, that's a good thing too.
Well, actually, speaking of lists, sorry, just so people didn't get on, maybe. So we said the people, maybe the other way of looking at this, right, was the 50 people that got us here, 50 people that are just keeping us going. And the 50 that you might not know about but should.
Yeah, that you should know about for historical.
Well, I mean, I'm thinking even for the future, 50 that you should know about because, oh my gosh.
You know what? Here's a show for you. Maybe the top 10 up and comers.
Yeah.
Oh, top 10. That would be. Daniel Bernas. That would be a good show to do. Up and comers.
Oh, yeah. All right. So everyone's saying goodbye. So we got Richard. Top training.
Where do you get this all from?
What?
The comments. There's private chats and there's comments up at the top.
Oh, gotcha.
You see, that's why you need to get on. You need to get on this. You just need to get on. Hey, can you guys see the little window on the lower left with our pictures on it?
The lower left.
Where I take you. Okay, you guys don't.
I see the single one that has just me. There's one on the bottom.
Right, you don't. You don't see the control panel I got.
Right,
Okay,
good.
No.
But I can present on the bottom.
Top training groups per art. Then Salamat.
Right.
Later on, we'll check from the Philippines, December, February. Okay, good. Great program. Really enjoyed it. Thank you.
Thank you, Steve.
All right. Well, listen, as always, this is always a pleasure for us to do this. And then have
thank
another.
you again for having me on.
Hopefully you like
from another thing.
Hopefully you like it, Dean, because you're not having to run it. It's a different thing being the guest, and hopefully that lets you relax and just sit back and just
but it's always fun coming out with you guys.
There from Dan. Listen, we're just gonna do it. I'm gonna do it right here, so all three of us get to say goodbye. So as always, everybody, please stay safe, stay sane. It's Datu Tim,
PG Tye,
and
Dean Franco.
Dean Franco.
Saying goodbye, stay safe, and see you all soon.
There you go.